I'm going to provide the solutions for level 1 questions. So this first one, which number represents probability of events very likely to occur? So remember, probability goes from 0 to 1. So 0 being not going to happen, 1 being 100% going to happen. You cannot have a probability that's higher than 100%. So it's right away not number 2. 0.12 would be 12%, so that's low likely. 0.09 would be 9%, so our answer here is 3, 89% likely to occur. So that's fairly likely, I would say. Next question. A spinner is divided into 8 sections, 8 equal sections. Each section is labeled with a number. So which event is most likely to occur? Looking at this, we have a couple 1s, a couple 3s, 1, 2, and a 4. So the arrow lands on a section labeled with a number less than 4. So all of the sections except for 1 is less than 4. So I'd say that's very likely. Let's go to the next one. The arrow lands on a section labeled with the number 1. I would say that's also fairly likely to occur. Slightly less than the first one though, because there's only 3 that would work here. But for the first one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The arrow lands on a section with an odd number. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So out of 8, each one of these are right, because there's 8 possible. None of the above, that's just wrong, because those things are all fairly likely. So the largest one is 1. Our next question. Which inferences are valid for the survey data shown in the chart below? So you got to make sure you're reading these carefully. So first off, our chart, preferred way to watch movies, the highest, most preferred is streaming, then theater, then DVD or Blu-ray. So statement 1, going to a theater is the most popular way to watch a movie. Well, that is just not true. Streaming would be. Statement 2, about twice as many people would prefer to stream instead of going to a theater. Well, 30 times 2 is about 62, so that would be true. Statement 3, about 3 times as many people would prefer to watch a movie on a DVD instead of streaming. So if I do 8 times 3, that gives me 24, not statement 3. About 8 times as many people would prefer to watch a movie on DVD instead of streaming. So 8 times 8 is about 64. Sorry, is 64, which is close to 62. They said this word about, so that one would be true. Then let's look at statement 5. Most people would prefer streaming over any other method. So this is true. So now I've said 2, 4, and 5 are true. Statement 5, I would say, is the most obviously true statement, right? Because clearly most people want to stream. So I'm looking then at statements 1 and 2. We said 1 was wrong, so our final answer has to be 2. Now, yes, I said 4 is correct, but looking at the options given, we have to go with number 2. Okay, so question 4. The sections of a spinner are divided into 5 equal sections labeled letters A to E. We spin the spinner once and we roll a number on 1 to 6. What's the probability of landing on a B and an even number? So on this one, I can say the probability of B and even. Well, my spinner has a total number of 5 options, one of those being a B. Total number of 6 options on a dice. Even, so number 2 is even, number 4 is even, and 6 is even, so that's 3. If you want, you could reduce now or later, up to you. I'm going to do it later. 1 times 3 is 3. 5 times 6 is 30. I can reduce that to be 1 over 10, which is 0.1, which gives us 10%. So our answer here is 3. Okay, last question for this section. So this one's a little bit trickier. James surveyed 120 voters. So that's our total outcomes. Out of a random 12,600 people registered voters in a town. Based on the results of the survey was the total number of registered voters expected to vote for Miss Fizzle in the upcoming election. So he found 65 people wanted Miss Fizzle, so that was 65 out of 120. So we want to know how many that would be then out of 12,600. So we're doing a proportion like we did at the beginning of the year. Isn't this lovely? We're making connections between two units. If I do 65 divided by 120, I get a gross decimal. So I'm going to use I'm not going to write that down because remember, we don't want to have to round anything. So I can use a proportion to solve this one. I used my calculator, so I found that 120 times 105 gives me 1260. So then whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I'm going to times by 105. 65 times 105 gives me 6,825 people. So my answer here is 3. So this question, number 5, we're using statistics and our knowledge of probability to answer. A lot of questions are going to come up like that. I hope that helped you answer any questions you got stuck on.